channel and welcome if you are new. Hi, my name's Mandy and today we are going to be covering urban legends and myths of Canada, my home country. What better to do an urban legends of Canada collab than to do it with my sister, who is also Canadian born. We are going to be doing this one together, so stay tuned for a Jessii Vee feature. Before I start this video, I do have brand new merch on the Jessii Vee merch website. I have the wellness package. I have a brand new femme chic sweet pink wallet, and I have these adorable sloth socks that are super fun. So please go and check out that link in the description below. And let's get on with this video. So the very first one that I've been looking forward to so much to talking about is the Wendigo. The central regions of Canada is said to live a malevolent being called the Wendigo. This creature may appear as a monster with some characteristics of a human, or as a spirit who has possessed a human being and made them become monstrous. Wendigo roughly translates to the evil spirit that devours mankind. This creature has long been known among Algonquin Ojibwe peoples, who have described them as giants, many times larger than human beings. The Algonquin legend describes the creature as a giant with a heart of ice. Sometimes it is thought to be entirely made of ice. Its body is skeletal and deformed, with missing lips and toes. Ugh. The Ojibwa describe it. It was a large creature as tall as a tree, with a lipless mouth and jagged teeth. Its breath was a strange hiss, its footprints full of blood, and it ate any man, woman, or child who ventured into its territory. And those who were the lucky ones, sometimes the Wendigo chose to possess a person instead, and then the luckless individual became a Wendigo himself, hunting down those he had once loved and feasting upon their flesh. Oh my goodness. However, Wendigo creature sightings are still reported, especially in northern Ontario near the Cave of the Wendigo and around the town of Kenora, where it has allegedly been spotted by traders, trackers, and trappers for decades. There are many who still believe that the Wendigo roams the woods and the prairies of northern Minnesota and Canada. Kenora, Ontario, Canada has been given the title of the Wendigo capital of the world by many. Sightings of the creature in this area have continued well into the millennium. Oh my gosh, you guys. I have a friend that lives in Kenora. Should I tell her? Unlike the terrifying carnivores, the Wendigo doesn't rely on pursuing his prey in order to capture and eat it. Rather, one of the creepiest traits is his ability to mimic human voices, which I hate that. He uses this skill to lure people in and draw them away from civilization. Once they're isolated in the desolate depths of the wilderness, he attacks them and then feasts on them. The Algonquin people say that during the turn of the 20th century, a large number of their people went missing. The tribes attributed many of the mysterious disappearances to the Wendigo, thus calling him the spirit of lonely places. Whether you believe the Wendigo lurks in the woods at night or not, this is not just another boogeyman story meant to scare people for no reason. It also has a historical significance for many indigenous communities. The legend of the Wendigo has long been associated with real-life problems like insatiable greed, selfishness, and violence. It's also linked to the many cultural taboos against these negative actions and behaviors. Basically, the word Wendigo can also function as a symbol for gluttony and the image of excess. As Basil Johnston has written, the idea of turning Wendigo is a very real possibility when the word refers to self-destruction rather than literally becoming a monster in the forest. Interestingly enough, there are even a couple of lakes today named after the beast, including a Lake Wendigo in Minnesota and a Wendigo Lake in Wisconsin. So, without further ado, let's bring it over to Jess.
Hello everyone on Mandy's channel, it's Jessii Vee. So Mandy and I are talking about Canadian urban legends today, and the one that I chose is called the loup-garou. I really hope I'm saying that right. So this creature is essentially a type of werewolf, and it's well known in French Canadian folklore. And actually the story of this creature came from 17th century immigrants from France to Quebec. Now the loup-garou is not always a dog or wolf like you would expect it to be. It can apparently also take the form of an ox, a small calf, a pig, a cat, or even an owl. It really just depends on the curse that the person is put under. And usually when someone is put under this spell, it can last up to 101 days, which is crazy. I mean, at least it's not for like a lifetime, it has like a time limit, but 101 days is a long time to be a werewolf. And the spell becomes active in the evening, so during the day you are in your human form, and in the evening you turn into whatever animal the spell is. And then you have to wander the countryside as that animal form. I also read in other articles that the person is able to turn into an animal whenever they want. So not only in the evening, they can like choose any time during the day to become this animal, but the folklore always changes depending on who you hear it from. Now, there apparently is one way to break the spell, and it's a very bizarre way. Apparently, if someone recognizes you in your animal form, so let's say your best friend sees a wolf and they're like, oh, that's gotta be Mandy. If they recognize you as your animal form, they have to draw your blood. So they have to take a bunch of blood from you, and then you're able to like be freed from the curse. I'm sure there's a lot more details of it if you really look into it, but apparently you and that person that freed you from the spell, you're not allowed to discuss what happened with anybody else. If you do, you both can be cursed once again. One legend actually says that you become this loup-garou if you break your Lent for 7 years in a row. So if for 7 years you're not following the commitment that you did for Lent, you will become this creature. So think about that next Easter. Now, back in that time, people suspected of being werewolves or witches were burned at the stake. I always thought it was just witches, but apparently people were also accused of being big hairy beasts like werewolves. Now, what I find super interesting, because I do live in Canada, back in 1990, Canada Post actually came out with a series of stamps, and on each stamp there was a different legendary monster from Canada. So on one there was a loup-garou, on one there was an ogopogo, which is like a lake monster. On another one there was a Sasquatch, which is like a wandering beast in the forest. There was a kraken, which is this giant squid that apparently is in the Newfoundland waters. And apparently out of all of these like folklore creatures, the kraken is the one that scientists are like, yeah, that actually does exist, which is interesting. It reminds me of like Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyways guys, I hope you found the loup-garou interesting. Thank you Mandy for having me on your channel, and don't forget to check out her merch guys, okay? It's really cool. But yeah, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!
Thank you so much, Jess, for being on this video, and let's get back into it. Next is a lady in red that haunts Toronto's Lower Bay Station. Below Toronto's Bay Station lies another subway station known as Lower Bay Station. The Toronto Transit Commission reportedly opened the station in 1966 while experimenting with routes, but soon realized if the route was ever delayed, it would slow down the subway system. It was shut down only 6 months later. They later built the current base station on top, connecting the two platforms with a red door only accessible to employees. Workers and occasional movie productions still use the old station, but numerous workers claim to have seen a phantom lady in red wandering the tracks. People say she has no legs and only black holes for eyes. Her apparition only lingers for 30 seconds. Workers have felt cold spots and sensed drafts in areas where they shouldn't be present. Some think it's possible the lady in red fell or was pushed onto the tracks, but no records of such accident exist. Others think it's more likely she was a former resident of Pottersfield, a cemetery for social outcasts and the poor, which the city attempted to relocate in 1855 to build the station. And next is the spirit of a girl haunts the Screaming Tunnel. Although the Grand Trunk Railway closed down long ago, one tunnel below the tracks is allegedly quite active. According to urban legend, if a person stands in the middle of the so-called screaming tunnel and lights a match, a strong wind will blow out the flame and visitors can hear a woman scream. Multiple stories explain the eerie sound. One explanation says a young girl was caught in a barn fire and tried to escape, but it ended up stuck in the tunnel. Another version of the legend claims the girl was severely mistreated and burned to hide the evidence. A third version alleges the girl's father got rid of her by setting her ablaze. Either way, I'm probably not gonna check that one out. Next, a UFO base lurks below the surface of Lake Ontario. Conspiracy theorists claim aliens have created hidden underwater UFO bases all over the Earth, including one that supposedly lies below the surface of Lake Ontario. People say they often see unexplained lights over the water. One resident of nearby Hamilton, Ontario, reported walking home from work when he noticed glowing orbs in the sky. He felt a strange sensation that caused him to freeze. The 10 orbs floated for several minutes before flying out toward the water. Another story claims a group of people witnessed the floating lights in 1981. They noticed an orange flying saucer-shaped craft traveling alongside their car. While the craft was in their vicinity, the car radio became nothing but static. The group followed the strange object only to see it fly over Lake Ontario, descend at an angle into the water, and ultimately disappeared before the surface. Others who have claimed to have seen the lights say they are orange in color and most often appear between Toronto and Oakville. And the last one, which I think is the absolute creepiest, is the Cabbagetown tunnel monster who lurks underneath Toronto. I think I find this one the creepiest because Luca, when we first started dating, actually worked in Cabbagetown, and he said it was not a nice place. It was a lot of like drugs and bad things that happened there. Sketchy area. In 1978, a 51-year-old man encountered a strange creature in a tunnel by the Cabbagetown neighborhood of Toronto while searching for a lost kitten. After walking about 10 feet into the tunnel, he spotted something move. He swung the flashlight in its direction and saw what appeared to be a 3-foot-tall, monkey-like creature with gray fur and glowing orange eyes. This living nightmare said to him, "Go away, go away." Horrified, the man ran. Friends urged him to share his story, so he contacted the Toronto Sun about a year later. He and a reporter found the cave once more and a perished cat. The two guessed the other end of the tunnel led into Toronto's sewer system. No one has ever spotted the Cabbagetown monster again. Well, that's it for Canadian urban legends, and there's so many more, so I think I'm gonna make a part 2 to this video, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jessii Vee, for being a part of this video, and click that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys!